Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. And I have a new support zone for you. I also have a, target for a third wave right here. And let me explain what's going on the chart right now. Keep in mind, the support zone right here could always fail because the structure is not really that bullish. The first wave right here is only up in 3 waves, so it could always, break down because of that. And yeah, the second wave, as you can see, reacted to the 50% extension of the support zone that I gave you. And right now we seem to be in a 1-2 setup right here. Now, I'm still gonna need a couple of days to, be able to decide what this is. It could be a 1, 2, 3, 4 setup, and maybe we are about to get a 5th wave at some point. If we get a 5th wave and then we start dropping, then I'm going to count that as a 1-2 setup. However, this could also be, just a 1-2 setup with the first wave right here being a 3-wave move. So it's interesting to see what will happen next. Now, if the price gets another low, then this is most likely a 1-2 setup and not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup. And that's still okay as long as we get a third wave after that. So let's say we get another low, and let's say we drop to about 73 cents first right here to test the 50% extension, maybe the 0.618 extension, that's at 71 cents, and that would be some kind of ABC structure, and then we can start going up again. Of course, this will be the second wave. Now, the second wave of what? Well, this will be the second wave of this third wave right here, and this is the third wave of this 1-2 setup. The minimum target for this third wave is at about $1.04, and this third wave needs to go up in 5 waves, and after this second wave right here you can expect a third wave of this third wave, then a 4th wave and a 5th wave, and that should complete the third wave. I know I am saying the word wave a lot, but it is what it is. And then after the third wave right here we will need a 4th wave move down and a 5th wave move up, and once we get these 5 waves I will actually be able to confirm that the second wave right here is in. Now, if you did not watch my previous videos, this is the second wave of this very large 1-2 setup, and this 1-2 setup pretty much started after getting the August low in 2024. And if this is confusing to you, then you should probably not watch this video because I talk about wave counts a lot. Now, what is this 1-2 setup for? This is the 1-2 setup of the main third wave, which is the main third wave of this 1-2 setup. So we have a bunch of 1-2 setups on the chart, and yeah, I'm still expecting the third wave to start at some point. Now, I don't know if this will hold or not. As you can see right now, we are pretty much fighting with the bull market support band. And I don't know if it will get rejected or not. Exactly 4 years ago in January, when Bitcoin dominance was going sideways, Cardano actually went up like 300%. I don't know if that will happen again or not. It's really hard to say right now. And if it does happen, then we should complete these 5 waves extremely soon. If we don't, then the possibility of us getting another low right here in the second wave, it's going to increase. And maybe this is going to be a double bottom. I've already talked about this scenario multiple times. And maybe we'll get to like 50 cents again slowly before we actually start with a third wave of the third wave. And it's also possible that we get to the 0.786 support level, which is at 38 cents, before we actually do anything, because right now we are in QT, we are not in QE, which means that the price could continue dropping because Bitcoin dominance could continue going higher. Now, speaking of Bitcoin dominance, if you look at the 4-hour chart, it's almost oversold, and this is actually not bullish for the altcoins. The last time it was oversold on the 4-hour was down here when Bitcoin dominance was at about 56%. After that, Bitcoin dominance proceeded to go up like 8% in a matter of days. So it's definitely not bullish, and if we want to actually start breaking down, we cannot really afford to be oversold on the 4 hours. So yeah, I think it will go higher, and it is very likely that we get like 66% first before we start the altcoin season. And I've told you this multiple times, but we are not in QE, we are in QT, so this could continue going higher for the next couple of months. Well, not months, actually weeks. And I think once the QE starts, I think that will finally trigger the Bitcoin dominance drop that everyone has been waiting for quite some time now. Keep in mind, in the previous cycle, that's what triggered this drop right here on the Bitcoin dominance chart. This is when QE started, and as you can see, after that, we just were in a downtrend. And yeah, of course, if you want to ignore this cycle and only look at the 2017 cycle, In the 2017 cycle, we were in QT the whole time, so we don't necessarily need QE to start an altcoin season. However, that's what we did in the previous cycle. Now, we could start an altcoin season, and if we do, we should start it by the end of this month or by the end of next month. And why is that? Well, because right here in 2017, for example, when we were still in QE, Bitcoin dominance started dropping at the end of February. So if we do something like this again, we should get a huge drop at the end of February and leading into March, and it should start going down like it did over here. Of course, not so much, because it cannot go down this much, but we should get a huge move to the downside, and we should get below the bull market support band again. I think if we get below the bull market support band again, that will pretty much confirm that, the top is in. But of course, we said that already over here, and that did not turn out to be true, so it's interesting to see what will happen. But, judging by the last two cycles at least, the altcoin season usually starts at the end of February or at the end of March. Here we were in QE and it started at the end of March. Here we were in QT and it started at the end of February. Right now we're in QT. So are we going to start the altcoin season at the end of February? Well, I don't know. But even if we do that, I think it is possible to get another high on the Bitcoin dominance chart before we continue. And I'm actually bearish in the short term because, like I said, most of the altcoins are about to have a cross on the bull market support band, and I'm not really a fan of that. The last time Cardano had a cross on the bull market support band was literally up here, and then after that it just went down for about 6 months. Of course, I'm not expecting Cardano to go down like 6 months again, because that would not really make sense. But you have to keep in mind, if you look at the 4-hour chart right now, we got to the overbought territory and we cooled off, which means that we could continue going higher. However, the last time we got to the overbought territory on the 4-hour was up here, and as you can see, after that we started dropping in the long term. Well, not really the long term, but we started dropping the next 2 weeks or so, and before that it's the exact same thing. We got overbought here and then we started dropping. So if we don't start dropping right now, it is possible that we form 5 waves up, and if we do, it is possible for Cardano to go up, without Bitcoin dominance actually going down, because it did happen in the previous cycle. It did happen exactly 4 years ago, but keep in mind, 4 years ago we were in QE and right now we're not. So, and yeah, things are obviously different. We don't have the exact same cycle that we had in the previous cycle. However, like I told you multiple times, the structure that we are in right now is still the exact same as it was in the previous cycle. As you can see here, we were in an uptrend. We kept putting in higher highs and higher lows, and we tested this trend line about 5 times, and when we tested it for the 5th time, that's when we finally got above it. And right now we tested it for like 4 times, and I think we are about to test it for the 5th time. But if we get another low before that, it would not be the end of the world. Now keep in mind, from an Elliott wave point of view, we are already up here. From a structure point of view, we're actually down here, and from the 4-year cycle point of view, exactly 4 years ago, we were already up here. But keep in mind, Cardano went up on its own here when Bitcoin dominance was going sideways, so maybe it's not really fair to compare this move right here to what's happening right now, because right now Bitcoin dominance is, going down actually, and Cardano is not really doing anything, but we are not in QE. So it's, like I said, it's different, but it's not that different. And I can see a lot of similarities. And I think that at some point we will break above this. And once we do, I think that will, finally trigger the 3rd wave of the 3rd wave. And once that starts, you can expect the 3rd wave of the 3rd wave to top somewhere between $2.98 and even like $5. But the minimum target is $2.98. That's the 200% extension of the 1-2 setup right here. Now, in the previous cycle, the 3rd wave of this 1-2 setup right here actually got to the 1.618 resistance level of the previous all-time high. So if we want to do the exact same thing in this cycle, we would need the 3rd wave right here to top by, May of 2025. We would need this 3rd wave right here to top above $5.30, and we need this to happen by May of 2025. As you know from previous altcoin seasons, or maybe you don't, the 3rd wave usually tops in May, because during the summer the altcoins usually go down, and that's the perfect time for a 4th wave, and then at the end of the year they start going up again. I actually want to show you an example, and this is the Dogecoin chart. As you can see, in 2017 right here, for example, we went up until May, and then we dropped in September, and then we had another cycle high at the end of the year, and in the cycle after that we did the exact same thing. We went up pretty much until May, and then we started going down. Now, Dogecoin did not get another cycle high after that, but Cardano actually did. So as you can see, every single cycle, the altcoins usually get a top in May, and then they get a top at the end of the year, or maybe at the beginning of the next year after that, but only in January, not February or so. So I think it is possible that we finish the exact same third wave right here by the end of May. And if Cardano is not, at like $3 by the end of May, maybe even $4 by the end of May, then I do not really see it getting to like $5 to $8 by the end of the cycle. However, if we actually get to these numbers by the end of May, like I said, we could get to like $8 by the end of the year, which I think it is possible. The market cap of Cardano is not really that big right now. I believe the market cap is at about $28 billion. And if we want to get to like $8, we would need a market cap of about 280 billion. Right now, I mean, Ethereum, for example, has a market cap of around 320 billion. So if we go up another 4x on the Ethereum chart this year, which I think is possible, then I think Cardano will easily be able to get to a market cap of like 300 billion. And I think that's realistic, but that will only happen if we don't get a left translated peak. And right now, I don't really see that happening. However, in the short term, you have to keep in mind that Bitcoin could get another low right here just to test the bull market support band, and I talked about this on the Discord server. It is possible that we drop to about $88,000 first before we actually get a fifth wave of this 1, 2, 3, 4 setup. And why am I saying that? Because in the previous 2017 cycle, which looks a lot more similar to this cycle than 2021 does, in 2017 we tested the bull market support band about 8 times, and these were massive drops. These were like 30% drops. And yeah, we always bounced after testing the bull market support band. So it's possible that we do the exact same thing in this cycle, and if we do, we should get a drop to about $88,000, and if that happens, Bitcoin dominance will most likely get to new cycle highs. And what do you know, I'm kind of expecting that to happen, and I'm actually expecting some altcoins to get another low or a double bottom. So if we get a drop to $88,000, I think that will be the last drop. Now, of course, not the last drop of the cycle, because of course at some point Bitcoin will go down again. But after this drop, I'm expecting a huge bounce, and I think that's what will trigger the real altcoin season that everyone has been waiting for. But that could take a couple of weeks, and you have to be patient, and if you're not, then I don't know what you're doing here. And that's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon. If you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our daily Discord updates, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.